What's up, guys? It's the Bowtie Fragrance Guy, man. We talk about fragrances on this channel. I like to throw in some style tips as well, some grooming tips. I think it's really important. If you're going to be, interested in going out and smelling good every day, that you look the part as well, So those two things kind of go hand in hand. If you're into that, make sure you show your support by hitting subscribe and make sure you enable notifications by hitting that bell icon as well. So when a new video gets uploaded on this channel, you get notified. On today, guys, we're going to be talking about niche fragrances, right? I'm going to talk about 10 of my favorite niche brands. Niche brands out here, don't be upset. I'm probably going to do a part 2 to this, but these are some really established niche brands that have been around for a while and just happen to be some of my favorite niche brands. But I want to talk about what I think is my favorite of the best fragrance from each of these 10 niche brands. That's what we're getting into today, man. So if you want to see my thoughts on this topic, you know the routine, man. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it. Let's go. It's time for the show. That rhymes. Do a little bit of that. All right, let's just go.
The Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's jump right into the video. The first brand I want to talk about is probably the youngest fragrance brand on the list, but my gosh, it's one of my favorites, and that's indicated by the fact that I have so many fragrances from this brand. Now, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, all the fragrances on for the brands I'm going to talk about on this list today, I have at least 10 fragrances from these brands. That's how I know that they were some of my favorites. So this particular brand, Bottega Victorious, absolutely love this house. I love the bottle presentation. I love the variety of different, fragrances that you can choose from the particular brand. But what I think is the best and my favorite fragrance from Bottega Victorious, and it's probably no secret to those of you that watch my channel, is Blue Sapphire. Blue Sapphire. This fragrance consists of lemon, chamomile, taguette, rose, jasmine. At its core, it's a rose oud fragrance, but unlike any other rose oud that I have in my collection. I've talked about it before. There is this beautiful candied citruses in the top, and that's coming in from the lemon in here. The jasmine gives like almost floral but honey nuance to this fragrance, and of course rose. Oud that's not overpowering, just blended honestly to perfection. And I have said before that this is probably my favorite fragrance in my entire collection. I said that a few months ago. I would have to really go, study the collection and look around and see if that's changed. But off the top of my head right now, this would probably be it. It's just something, again, that I feel like you would have to smell to really get the full essence, obviously, to understand why I love this fragrance so much. But it's definitely my favorite from the brand, and that's saying something because they have a host of fragrances from that brand that I absolutely love. So right now, I will give this the nod as the best from the collection, from the brand of Bottega Victorious. This is Blue Sapphire. All right, guys, up next, and definitely from more of an established brand. This brand has been around for quite some time. And again, I may have the most fragrances in my collection of this brand. I mean, my section in my closet where I keep my fragrances, there's no more room for fragrances from this brand. I mean, it's packed to capacity. But that's the brand of Bond No. 9. And so many fragrances from Bond that I love. And I go back and forth sometimes with 1, 2, and 3. But right now, I would say this is probably the best fragrance from the brand and my favorite. This is New York Oud. New York Oud, sadly discontinued, but this consists of plum, rose oud, of course, and musk. I would say those are the main notes from this composition, and man, love it so much. I mean, I can't say enough good things about it. So sad that this fragrance has been discontinued, but I have this bottle that I kind of cherish. I don't wear this as much honestly, just because it's discontinued and I do not want to run out of this. I've already run through a 50 ml of this, and this is 100 ml. It's down to here. But again, I'm gonna try to make sure that this stays around because I love it. I'm a rose fragrance lover. This smells like no other rose oud fragrance as well in my collection. Again, just like Blue Sapphire, there's a unique factor to this fragrance, and I think it's probably because of that plum note in the fragrance. But again, it's saying something that I chose it as my favorite because there's Bleecker Street, there's Centerpiece for him, those are right up there, Lafayette Street. But at the end of the day, this one is the most special, so I choose it as the best from the brand of Bond No. 9, New York Oud. All right, guys, next up on the list is the brand of Creed. Now, this brand is the first niche fragrance brand that I really dived into when I started getting deeper into this fragrance hobby. And obviously, well, I'm going to show you the fragrance, then I'll get into that explanation. But right now, I would say my favorite from the brand, or the best fragrance from the brand, is this one. And it's Royal Oud. Royal Oud, what you get here is pink pepper, cedarwood, angelica root, galbanum, and of course there is some oud. But as most people will probably tell you that have talked about this fragrance, there's not a whole lot of oud detected in this fragrance, or at least not the type of oud that you are accustomed to smelling. There is oud here, and honestly the name, like Creed can only do, is a fresher take on that particular note. There's a lot of cedarwood in here, a lot of that earthy angelica here as well, and it's a little bit fresh in the opening. And again, Creed is known for fresher scent profiles, so I'm not surprised that their oud fragrance was a fresher take on a note of oud. But guys, ultimately this fragrance is just fantastic. I really, can't tell you, it makes you feel regal, makes you feel sophisticated when you wear it. And of course, you guys have been following me for a long time, know how much I have a soft place in my heart for Original Santal. But when I think about that particular fragrance, of course, there's other fragrances that kind of, smell like it. Obviously, there's Creed Aventus, which normally would probably take the place on this list as my favorite from Creed. But when I think about that fragrance, there's so many copies now, and I guess it's finally gotten to me the over, hype and talk about Creed Aventus. I still say the batch that I have is one of the best ever created. But right now, when I think about special, best from the brand, creative things of that nature, I don't smell anything else like this on the market. And that's saying something. So that's why one of the main reasons I chose it as my favorite or the best of the brand. It's a phenomenal fragrance. Check it out, guys. From the brand of Creed. I don't think this fragrance gets as much attention and love as it deserves. This is Royal Oud. I think ultimately this was the hardest fragrance brand to choose my favorite from. So many I could have went with here. But this is the one I chose from the brand by Killan, Straight to Heaven Extreme. Straight to Heaven Extreme. Rum, cedarwood, dried fruits, patchouli, vanilla, some of the main notes in this. And I've talked a lot about this fragrance on the channel. What a phenomenal fragrance this is, man. There is the original Straight to Heaven, which is good. This enhances some of my favorite elements of that fragrance. The cedarwood primarily, and that boozy rum. Again, heavily complimented fragrance, extremely creative. Just like I said with the previous or aforementioned fragrance, Royal Oud, not many fragrances that you'll smell like this on the market. Again, and when I talk about or think about the genre of sexy date night kind of fragrances and scent profiles, this is one of the best I've ever put my nose on. It's one of the Mrs. favorite fragrances on me. That kind of contributed to my thought process, but this is my favorite. Apple Brandy was up there. Obviously, Angel Share. Single Malt is another fragrance that I really love from Killan, but right now I would give this one a nod, Black Phantom. This one, I will give it a nod. It's discontinued, it's a little bit more hard to get, and of course exclusive. So right now, from Killan, Straight to Heaven Extreme. Now when it comes to fragrances, if the king of versatility was a picture, it would be this fragrance. Another very established niche brand of Joff, I would go with this one right here as the best, man. 40 knots. 40 knots. When you talk about this, you have to talk more about accords, aquatic, green, woody, powdery. Those are some of the words that come to my mind when I talk about or smell this fragrance, because it's all of those things almost in an equal dosage, man. It is you know, part aquatic, 25% aquatic, 25% green, 25% woody, 25% powdery. And you get all those elements. And that's why it's so hard for people to really put this in sometimes a season, because it can match anywhere, you know, anywhere on the spectrum, from summer on down to winter. It can be like a beachy kind of fragrance for the summertime. It could be a good cozy fragrance to wear in the wintertime because of the woody and powdery elements to it. It's everything. And that's why I chose this as the best fragrance from the brand. There's a lot of great ones from Joff, but this one to me is probably the most creative. And right now where I'm in my fragrance journey, I give creativity a nod. So right now I would choose as the best from the Joff brand. Again, check it out, guys. 40 knots. All right, guys, another established niche brand. This one is going to come as no surprise to anybody that's been following my channel for any amount of time. I love Frederic Malle. Just picked up a few more fragrances from that brand, from that house. And this is my favorite easily, Portrait of a Lady. And of course, you know, on this channel, we call it Portrait of a what? Portrait of a man. What you get here is rose, raspberry, patchouli, frankincense. That's some of the main notes, and I can just say it's my fragrance. It's not for everybody. I always say it now when I talk about this fragrance because of that patchouli kind of earthiness. The rose, some people consider even like some people have said old lady kind of smell from that rose. It's so heavily concentrated, but whatever. All I know is it works on my skin, and I love it. The only other fragrance from that brand that kind of gave this a run for its money to me is Musc Ravageur, but this is my favorite. Won't talk about it a lot because I've talked about it so much on the channel, but this is an easy one for those of you that follow me. Favorite from Frederic Malle, Portrait of a Lady. All right, guys, the next fragrance that I want to talk about is from another long-time established fragrance brand. That's the brand of Onage, another brand that I have probably upwards of 25 to 30 bottles from. And I went back and forth with this fragrance and one other as the best. I kind of don't know if I'm choosing my best of the best or my favorite, kind of a combination. But this is more representative of what the brand is about to me, so I chose it as number one or the best. From Onage, this is Jubilation 25. All right, and what you get here primarily is blackberry, honey, cinnamon, cloves, and a Papanax. What a creative fragrance. And again, when I think about Middle Eastern fragrances, of course, with the brand, Onage is from Oman, and think about, you know, kind of sort of, when I envision it, what it kind of is about. You know, Middle Eastern fragrances, this is the best of the brand. Now, I went back and forth between this and Reflection 45, which I think is probably my favorite. But I think when I think about what is the best, because this is more representative of what the brand kind of signifies or what it was about when it was initiated, I went with this one as the best. But amazing fragrance, so representative of what Onage fragrances are about, and absolutely love this stuff, man. It is so Middle Eastern, but so good, and so, again, if I could just put into a bottle, when I think about Middle Eastern perfumery, what would be the best concoction I could come up with? It would smell just like this. So I chose this as number one from Onage. Absolutely love this stuff, man. What a celebratory, regal, refined scent this is. This is Jubilation 25. All right, guys, next up, we're talking about the brand of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is an easy one as well. For most of you that follow my channel that know me, it's Oud Satin Mood. Oud Satin Mood, it ain't even close with this brand for my favorite. Rose, vanilla, violet, and benzoin. When I smell this, man, it just makes me happy because it smells so good. One of my favorite fragrances, one of my favorite date night fragrances. What a great representation of the rose oud genre of fragrances, man. I love that powdery nuance that the violet provides in this fragrance, the sweetness that comes in from the vanilla. Just a perfect complement to me to the rose and oud in this fragrance. Such a phenomenal scent. I've talked about it a lot, so you know I won't go through it again, but man, just check this out, guys. One of my favorite fragrances on the planet, Oud Satin Mood. All right, guys, the next fragrance house that I want to highlight here is the brand of Fragrance du Bois. I have quite a few fragrances from this brand, probably upwards of 15. And for me, this is my favorite. This is Oud Noir Intense. Oud Noir Intense. And what you get here is cardamom, rose, saffron, Oud, amber, and patchouli, I would say, are the main notes. And guys, ultimately, if you've never put your nose on this, what it kind of reminds me of is Oud Wood from Tom Ford. You know how much I love this fragrance. It's not a one-to-one, but this is very close to a similar scent profile as Oud Wood. And as much as I love Oud Wood, they're not niche, so if it's not on this list, this is my favorite from the brand of Fragrance Du Bois. Such an intoxicating fragrance. One that I highly recommend you put your nose on. Again, if you're a fan of Oud Wood, I think you would love this one as well. My favorite from Fragrance Du Bois is Oud Noir Intense. Guys, and last but certainly not least, from the brand of Royal Parfums, another pioneer fragrance brand when you think about niche perfumery. When you think about high-end luxury niche fragrance brands, this is definitely a brand that comes to mind for a lot of people. Another one that was kind of difficult to choose the best from the brand for me, or the best from the brand, but I ultimately went with this one, and that's Creation E. Creation E. What you get here is boozy cognac, vanilla, benzoin, tobacco, and I know people don't talk about a lot when they talk about this fragrance is heliotrope. It kind of gives that cherry vibe. That's what that cherry nuance, when people talk about cherry cola, when they mention this fragrance, that is coming from that cherry-like powdery nuance is coming from the heliotrope in this fragrance, which mixes perfectly with the cognac. All right, what a masterpiece of a fragrance this is. Now, obviously, it was very difficult for me to choose between this and Diagolea, which is my favorite Chypre on the planet. If this is a 10, that's a 9.999 to infinity. It's that close for me if I talk about the best fragrance from the brand. But man, this fragrance has been well documented and talked about here on this platform of YouTube, so I won't go on waxing poetically about it, but it's amazing. That's why I chose it as the best from the brand from Royal Parfums, guys. Get your nose on this. Creation E or Enigma, depending on where you're located in the world. But that is it, guys. That is my time. I hope you enjoyed this video today. Will probably be a part 2 of this where I go into some other niche brands that I really enjoy. Not established as much as the ones that I talked about here as far as how long they've been around, but we'll get into those as well. I'll give you my favorite from those brands. But as always, I sincerely appreciate your time and your attention to these videos. I know you don't have to watch, but you do, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you are sharing these videos out to some other folks out there that you think could use the information or find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darian. I'm the Bowtie Fragrance guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side.